Every mark that I make seems to be a lot less precise than I would like them to be. But yeah, it is what it is, man. What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing another art challenge, and this is going to be a really fun one that I've been wanting to do for a while now. And this is painting with the default Photoshop round brush. Now, the reason that I wanted to do this is because I feel like there's way too much emphasis being placed on the types of brushes that people use. Okay, now if you want access to my personal brushes, they're on my Patreon and they're on my Gumroad. It's not a secret. I'm not hiding them from you guys. I just get thousands of comments and messages saying, what kind of brushes do you use? And it drives me thousands, okay? I'm telling you guys, thousands. I used to reply those to, I'm gonna have a mental breakdown, man. It's on my Patreon, it's on my Gumroad. It's there, it's not a secret. Please. Now, brushes obviously do matter a lot, especially if you're trying to go for a certain texture or a certain feel in your paintings. But the thing is, you can make good digital paintings with any kinds of brushes that you have. And I'm serious. I mean, it does add a stylistic element to your paintings, but not having a brush that is really fancy, really good, doesn't mean that you can't make something good with what you've got. So that's what we're gonna try to do today. We're gonna make a painting, but with only one single brush, and it's going to be the hard round brush on Photoshop. Let's do this. Okay, so we got the sketch down pretty fast. I didn't really miss having my normal brush set throughout this sketching phase because I actually basically just turned the round brush down to 3 pixels and turned off pressure opacity, and it worked fine as a line art brush. So that didn't really make too much of a difference. But now we're gonna get into the actual painting process, and I think this is where you're gonna see a bit more of a stylization difference in my painting process. I'm excited. I mean, this is gonna be probably a little bit of a different style than what I normally do, and I'm excited to see how this one turns out. Hey, let's get into the actual painting now. Just doing a little bit of color blocking now with the basic round brush, and it is actually very smooth and very easy to use. So right off the bat, I feel like I'm going in there with a little bit more of a painterly approach as opposed to what I normally do. I usually use like a flatter brush so that I can get sharp edges as well as broad brush strokes. But right now with the basic round brush, it doesn't change in size. So I have to really play around with the different shapes that I'm able to make from it and kind of overlap the brush strokes and really layer them. I mean, so far this feels like a very carefree way to paint, and it's pretty nice actually. So I've started getting into the facial features a little bit. I think this is where I'm starting to miss having a flat brush a little bit more, because I'm able to get much sharper lines with a flat brush than with a round brush. So I kind of just gotta shrink the brush really small as I'm painting smaller details. There's really no line quality going on here, and I kind of just have to do everything manually. I definitely feel like I have to play around with the brush strokes a lot more because every mark that I make seems to be a lot less precise than I would like them to be. I really like this actually. A large part of this is because I have less control of the size and the direction of my brush because it is basically just a circle. I'm just painting with a circle with some pressure opacity. This makes it so that I kind of have to put down a brush stroke and usually it doesn't look the way that I want it to, so I have to kind of go back in with a different color, rework it a little bit, and this kind of layering just gives it a much more painterly look as opposed to my normal, almost like flatter illustration style. And I think you can definitely, as we get into a little bit more detail, you're going to be able to see a lot more of this start to come through. With this brush, you kind of really have to play around with it, and it's just almost reminding me of painting with actual paint on a canvas, and you kind of have to like smudge it around and go back in with different colors and just mix it out and make it nice and smooth. And this is kind of like the same process. So you can see, as I've predicted, the result here is turning out to be a lot more painterly than my normal style, and I really like this actually. This is pretty nice. Okay, and I really like painting hair with just a round brush, so you can see. So I'm gonna pick a highlight color. Here's a little trick for you guys. Okay, here's a highlight color, put it on. Now I'm gonna take a darker color and just slowly paint into it. And there you go, there's a little spot of highlight on your hair, and it's just so satisfying to do this. So normally for the ambient occlusion underneath the hair and on the face, I would just go in with a lasso tool and use an airbrush to get that soft, diffused looking edge. But with the current brush that we're using, which is the hard round brush, it has a pretty solid edge. So I'm not really sure how we're gonna be able to get that soft shadow look on the ambient occlusion, but maybe we can work something out, I don't know. You know what, we could just leave it as a hard edge. That's fine. See, on large surfaces like the shoulder area where there's not too many plane transitions, it's just so difficult to get a smooth blend with this round brush. Every single stroke you leave down there's a hard edge, and it's impossible to get rid of it. And you know, if you haven't noticed by now, I'm not using any blending tools. Basically all the blending that I'm doing is being done with the round brush itself. So I can't really just pull up the blending tool and just smooth this shoulder out, because that's against the rules. Okay guys, so there it is. It's been an hour and 25 minutes. Now we've just finished this portrait with only the Photoshop hard round brush. It's one of the default brushes that comes with Photoshop, and it is probably the most basic brush that you could possibly get your hands on. And I did use my eraser obviously, but there it is. I had a great time painting this actually. There's our one brush only round brush challenge. It was a lot of fun to do, and I really enjoyed this process. I mean, for those of you guys who are always wondering, can you paint without using fancy brushes? You absolutely can, and you can do some great things with the very basic brushes that Photoshop has. But you know, it's just about getting used to the tools that you have and making the most out of what you've got. You definitely can make a good painting with the hard round brush. And this is something that I didn't even think was possible before, but I just decided to, you know what, let's give it a try today. And I think it turned out pretty good. Yeah, honestly guys, don't stress out about the types of brushes that you use. And I mean, if you're a beginner to digital art, you just want to jump in there and get your feet wet, feel free to just start with the basic Photoshop brushes, because you can do some cool stuff with it. Anyways, there's our video for today. I had a great time doing this. If you guys have more suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'm gonna look through them, and who knows, your comment might be my next art challenge. If you're new here, if you like digital art content and you want to see more stuff like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel, because this is everything that I do. That's it for today. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thousands of messages, thousands. It's not a secret. I just can't reply to thousands of comments saying the same thing over and over and over again. It's right there. It's on my Patreon. It's listed in the descriptions. It's there. Please.